Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Watching the Boxes Fantasy Basketball Podcast, hosted by #basketball.com, your home for the very best fantasy basketball tools. If you don't know by now, it's the end of the season, guys. You should have probably been using #basketball.com earlier in the season. It's almost April, but you should still check out #basketball.com for all your fantasy basketball needs and also articles about the regular NBA. So like they don't take any days off over at #basketball.com. Go check them out. I'm your host, Mike Hatron, and joining me, as always, is the shadiest GM in all of fantasy basketball, Tyler Watts. What's up, Tyler?
Wait, what did I do that was shady now? I'm confused by this.
Listen, I'm just saying there's been a lot of shady business going on in the listener leagues when you have been the GM, like me losing in all the listener leagues so far. So that's, I just find that really shady. I find that fact incredibly shady.
Yeah, sure. Because you lose, it's shady. All right, I guess that's fair. I mean, I don't know what to say about that.
It is true, and to throw everybody off the scent in the Dynasty League, Tyler, you lost 3-5 to throw everybody off the scent of your shady GMing. And I want to say congratulations to It's On, like Doncic Kong, for having the best name and for winning the year one of the Watching the Boxes Dynasty League. Congratulations to you.
A well-deserved victory. My team getting very injured down the stretch did not help, just like it didn't help in many of my leagues.
Yeah, down the stretch is tough, and I think we're going to, in our second chance league, we're going to go all the way to the final day of NBA basketball, and I think that's going to be it's going to make everything very, very interesting. When LeBron's already sitting out for the rest of the year. There's going to be a lot of just random human beings. There was a guy, by the way, this guy, Lemon Jr., Limoncello, I call him. Walt Lemon Jr. Came in for Chicago Bulls recently, and he looks like their second best player. Like, he looks great. And I was like, well, where's this guy been? He's been in the G League, basically putting the Windy City G League Bulls into like the finals. Like, I think they're in the playoffs in the G League, and I think they almost made the finals, or they did make the finals. I'm not even gonna look it up because that's how much I care about the G League. I guess we're not gonna get sponsored by the G League after that comment, Tyler. But like Walter Lemon Jr. is now someone who had 4 steals, 19 points, and 6 assists in an NBA game.
So here's a fun fact. You ready for this? Yeah. I looked up some post All-Star break numbers, and off that one game, Walt Lemon Jr. per game in the post All-Star break period is the 12th ranked player in fantasy basketball.
Wow, that's incredible. I mean, the 4 steals would do it to you, but he had 6 assists and 4 rebounds too.
That's what I mean. So there you go. I mean, he's got to be. I'm drafting him round 1 next year. That's how it works, right?
You know what? Pick him up. I say pick him up right now. Like, he's gonna play. They're shutting down Chris Dunn. That team is falling apart. They're trying to lose games. They are gonna lose games. They've been horrendous. And this is like we've been saying all year long. This is we can't even like do a weekly show about this. Like, there's no possible way we can predict Walter Lemon Jr. as someone who's going to be a top 20 basketball player in the last few weeks of the season. Like, that's just impossible to predict.
And these whole shutdown things make it so hard because, it's not always like the whole, like, the Timberwolves shut down Jeff Teague and Derrick Rose, and then Tyus Jones became really good, right? Sometimes it's like that. Some guy out of the G League who hasn't played an NBA game all season comes up and does great things. And I mean, I think we've been saying it on this podcast for like the last month, right? That like crazy shit's going to happen, and we don't really know how to predict it down the stretch, but there's definitely going to be some crazy games. And yeah, I have no problem picking up these guys and riding a hot hand. Like, Walt Lemon Jr. might have a couple other good games, or in the next game, he might play 20 minutes and foul out and score you 2 points with no other stats.
And be back in the G League by the end of the night. Like, who knows?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think there's any way we can predict that either. So, yeah, if you see a guy having a great game, if you get a hunch, right? Like, oh, this guy's out, these couple players are out, and you just think, maybe this guy could do something. I mean, I've won leagues on a hunch before,
Yeah,
especially
like,
ones that go all the way to the end of the year.
yeah, now's the time to trust Twitter. There's literally nothing we can do to predict these things. You can listen to this podcast. We appreciate that because we're going to talk about stuff this season, next season. We're going to be looking at the bigger picture as we already have been for these last few weeks because it's just so random that you're just going to have to rely on Twitter and your gut. That's all we can give you guys. I hate to break it to you because who knows who's going to get shut down tomorrow. Like we just don't know. But real quick, I want to give a shout out to our Patreon subscribers at patreon.com/watching the boxes because those Patreon subscribers are the ones in the listener leagues, like our friend Doncic Kong, who won the Dynasty League. And I think this is official, Tyler. I don't know if there are any active games still going on the West Coast. Oh, there is. Oh, there is, but I actually don't think there's any more active games going on for Stranger Toms. So Mouse the Feed and Stranger Toms coming down to the wire in the boring listener league redraft league, and it is 4-3-1. Mouse the Feed on top. They are currently tied in blocks, and I think, oh no, Bruno Cabacabla, who's got the worst name. However you say that name, I'm not even going to try it. Kablakablau. Bruno Kablakablau could be the difference here. So it is if Stranger Toms is able to get a block, they're tied in blocks, and they're fairly close on points. So this is coming down to the wire. It just goes to show you, like, every single game matters in the playoffs. So I do not know who's going to win this matchup right now. Mouse Defeed has this slight advantage, but Stranger Toms could pull this out. And if there's a tie, Tyler, I don't know what we're supposed to do here.
Mike, we've gone over this how many times? There's a tiebreaker. It's just whoever beat whoever in the regular season. I don't know why you can never figure this out.
Man, that is
the same way I beat you and you complain about it. Like, that's just what the default is. I don't make the rules, man. I just play by them.
Man, very suspicious rule making there. So good luck. I do not know who's going to win this one. Good luck to both of you. But the winners of these leagues, including the Second Chance League, which is going to the end of the year, will be getting a very special prize. And so we're going to be contacting you guys after your leagues have finished to make sure we can get your mailing address, because we're going to be sending you your prizes. Like, that's pretty cool. We've never done. Well, we've only had a few listener leagues, but we've never had prizes because we are cheap. But thanks to the support of our Patreons at patreon.com/watchingtheboxes, you will be getting prizes this year. And it doesn't involve me and Tyler showing up to your house. I promise. Maybe. I can't promise that, actually. We might just come over for dinner. That'd be nice.
I don't know. I'm only coming over if you're a good cook, or maybe your partner is a good cook. I mean, I don't want to eat a bad dinner.
Yeah. I mean,
I make enough of those for myself, so you know what I mean. Like,
yeah, you're gonna have to send us like the 3 to 4 courses, maybe 5 courses that you plan on feeding us at your dinner ahead of time before we make the commitment on coming out. But shout out to all our Patreon subscribers. You guys have supported us all year long. We really, really appreciate it. And I want to give a quick update on this March Madness tournament. Tyler, we were doing a bracket challenge out there, and it's gotten super, super weird with the Duke loss tonight. Duke ended up blowing the whole thing, losing to Michigan State, an excellent team, Michigan State. And if Virginia would have blown it as well, which they should have lost to Purdue in one of the only good games, I would say. One of the only good games of the entire tournament is that Purdue-Virginia game. That's right. I said it. Our Final Four is set. We got Michigan State, Texas Tech, Virginia, and Auburn. And I'm going to give a shout out to myself, Tyler, because I had Auburn in my Final Four.
Okay.
That's right.
You're in second place in this league. but only 2 people have a team left that can win it. And if you win it, your team wins it, you got a real good shot to fall into first place in this.
It's
so
been very, very close. All since the Final Four is all kind of messed up. There's not a lot of teams here.
I felt good about my chances. Had Kentucky and Duke just won today, I was feeling good about my chances. I was in like 5th place. I felt good about my chances of vaulting up to the top, but sadly they both lost. And now I don't think I'm going to finish last, though, so I'm proud of that.
Yeah, you're not going to finish last for sure. Like most of the scores here, you look at the maxes, they're all pretty set. But we only got 2 teams with their champion left. We got Fear the Beard with Virginia. We got JaVale McThree, who is in last place, who could win this entire thing if Michigan State wins the entire thing. So,
dude,
the brackets are always fucked up, man.
I think if Michigan State wins in the next round, he is like goes from last all the way up into 5th.
That's impressive.
I'm pretty sure. So that's how close everything was, though.
Actually, you know what I mean? I think he goes into he might go into first place. I don't know. I'm not going to do the math. You know how I feel about math, Tyler.
Well, he's got a couple other guys in this too, I think. Maybe
it's crucial. I think about math. I think it's very crucial to the future of America that our children learn math. That is what I think about math. Enough of all this. We had to do some bookkeeping here. Shout outs to our people. Shout out to the people who support us and talk about our listener leagues. But we're going to do a segment that we've been waiting all year to do, Tyler. It's called Real or Not Real. That's the new drop I just put down earlier this week. Real or Not Real, the best segment we've done so far this year, probably. What do you think about that, Tyler? Speechless.
I was just debating on all the segments we've done this year and how I could justify this as the best one. I mean, there's just been so many, I can't wrap my head around that statement.
Yeah. We have done a lot of segments. But I think this one, it might be the most valuable, especially at this time of year going into next year. I say this every single year. Right now is the time to prepare for your draft next year. That sounds really weird because the draft is not till, your drafts aren't going to be till for another 5 months, 4 or 5, 6 months, depending on how your league's all set up. But the league and the performances of people are going to never be fresher in your mind than they are right now. You're going to show up to the draft in September or October, and you're going to be like, was Jonas Valanciunas injured all year? Like I don't even remember. Was Darren Collison any good last year? I have no idea. But now you know where they're at, so you can start making your drafts right now. And I think a part of that is what we're going to do in this segment right here, and look at some of these guys post All-Star break who have been performing incredibly well, and we're gonna debate: is it real? Or is it not real?
I thought it was going to be like, is it real or is it a steal?
Oh, that's better, Tyler. Why didn't we talk about this before the show?
I don't know, because you made up the segment, and our
pre-show meetings. We need to have some better pre-show meetings, perhaps. Maybe we gotta brainstorm the names of these segments a little ahead of time.
All right, fair. That seems fair. That seems reasonable.
And some of these guys are actually real. I feel like real or not real, valid question, not just post All-Star break, but just in general. And let's go ahead and get started. Tyler, who do you want to start with on this list?
Well, do you want to start? So here's kind of how I did it, and I didn't do any surprising players on the negative end because I always think that there's not that many. Let's start off with this point, okay? Most people think the All-Star break is like the midway point of the season. It's definitely not even close anymore, right? Like most teams have in somewhere in the 50 to 60 game range, somewhere in that ethos done before the All-Star break. So like it's literally like 2/3 and 1/3 now, which obviously means it's a pretty small sample size post All-Star break.
That's true.
So there's that fact. Now, I didn't do any ones on the negative end because I feel like, some teams are just kind of done. They're kind of out of it. And some players, maybe they get shut down. Maybe they only play a few games. Maybe they just have some poor shooting, whatever. So I only looked at guys playing well post All-Star break. And I think every year we find some kind of breakout candidates from this group. But then we also get tricked by other guys who play great and don't do well. So we can start. These are all top 40 players. I think we ought to just start at one end, go to the other. Some of these guys we probably won't have that much to say about. But yeah, so I mean, whichever end you want to start with is fine with me.
Let's start with the top end. Let's start the top performers right now, and let's start with Devin Booker, the often injured Devin Booker, who is currently and you got to tell me that he's fifth. Based on what type of rankings, Tyler? What did you base these on?
8 category per game rankings. So okay. That's how I knew that's how I knew your boy Walt Lemon was 12. And I feel like per game is the best way to do it because some teams play, 3, 4, 5 more games, especially at this point in the season where most teams have a few more games left to go. And so that can obviously skew the totals on a very small sample size by a lot. So I felt like per game was probably the best way to do it. And obviously some of these guys don't have that many games, right? Like, I mean, if we're talking about a 20, 30 game sample and you miss, 5 games, that's a big hit.
Yeah, and Devin Booker is a small sample size theater type of guy. He didn't have a full season this year, and I think he's yet to have a full season. Is that right?
Well, I mean, his first 2 years he played 76 and 78 games, which I mean, it doesn't get much more than that now anymore. I mean, we talk about that all the time, right? Like there are very few guys that play 82. So I would say those are both full seasons for what is a full season in today's NBA.
Well, Devin Booker, in my opinion, is someone who has been on the radar for a very long time as a potential fantasy breakout type of player. It was like, okay, and he's going to have a lot in common, I think, with the next guy on this list, which is Bradley Beal, who did have an incredibly breakout season, but we'll get into that. But Devin Booker has been on everybody's radar, and he's 22 years old. He's super young. He had, a 70-point game a year or two ago, and everyone, I think, drafted him, I think, fairly high this year. And I think it's a good sign that he's been a bit of a disappointment up until this point because, maybe he will sink down in the rankings going into next year. I want to throw a red flag out there to Tyler about his post All-Star performance.
Okay.
And I'm going to look at, let's see, let's go with the All-Star game. He's averaging about 38 minutes a game. That is the max. We've talked about this type of stat before, but that is the max he is probably going to play. It's probably over the average minutes per game that he will average next year.
So, looking at maybe his full season per game, do you want to guess what he's ranked?
Per game or total?
And he's played 62 games.
Okay, that's pretty good.
So, it's not like we're talking about some crazy thing. And the Suns have 6 games to go at this point, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I did some quick and dirty math while you were talking. So, I mean, I might have messed that up. So, I mean, if he ends the season with 68 games, that's a pretty full season.
Yeah, at this point, that's a solid season. I mean, that might be more than LeBron.
That LeBron has only played 55.
Yeah, I didn't even look, guys. I didn't even look.
And he's out for the year, so that would be the end of that.
Yeah, shots fired. LeBron can't even get his team to the playoffs, and they have the same
stop
amount of
stalling.
wins.
What's he ranked?
They had the same amount of wins as they did last year. So he had a really bad start to the season. I'm gonna go with he's in the top 10 right now. I'm going to go with 32.
Oh, Mike. You want to guess again? Because that's not that close.
Ooh. I'm going to go with 50.
No, you're going the wrong way.
Really? I was expecting him to be a lot lower.
Yeah.
Are you talking about for the season or are you talking about post All-Star?
I'm talking about okay, so he was 5th post All-Star per game.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay. I'm talking about for the season per game value. So that just cuts out the number of games, and it just looks at the stat line per game. I eliminated turnovers because I think turnovers can be a bad stat, especially guys that play more minutes. They're going to get more turnovers. It skews the value a little bit too much, especially when you're looking on per game level, I think.
Oh, well, higher than 30. He's not in the top 10, so 20?
He is 19th.
Wow. That's way higher than I thought it would be.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. So now, like, looking into next year, Devin Booker, very young still, right? I mean, he's only 22. He turns 23 in October.
Yep.
We've seen him increase his scoring every season. Started out 13.8 as a rookie, 22.1, 24.9. Now this year up to 26.9. He's now averaging almost 7 assists a game.
Yeah, and that right there is my favorite thing to see in his game. And I know Phoenix is a mess of players and a mess of an organization, but that leap in assists is the leap that he needed in order to reach this level, the second tier level. His rebounds are up in the second half anyway. So like that's a good sign too moving forward.
Yeah, I think we've seen a step now. He shot 42.3, 42.3, 43.2, and now he's up to 46.6 this year. I'm not sure that's going to stick, right? So
another possible red flag. The minutes and the field goal.
But for the season, okay, the minutes aren't that crazy. Like it's 35. 3 years ago he played 35. Last year 34.5, and this year 35.5. So he's basically played 35 for the last 3 years.
Yeah. That's true. He's keeping it standard. This is like the first time he's had like a good like stretch of healthy games in quite a while. And what I like to see about what gives me hope that he could possibly repeat what he's doing right now is the uptick in free throws, 3 free throw attempts a game. That's nice. Those turnovers are a huge red flag, but the best players in the league have bad turnovers. And I also think the scoring obviously will be there. I think the assists and rebounds will stay. But one of your issues, I think, with any player, Tyler, is the lack of steals and blocks. And I think those two categories there keep him out of being he's probably like a third-tier player instead of a second-tier player.
Yeah, fair, unless it goes up. If he can get 2 more points a game like he's done every other year and it's at 29 next year, that's pretty interesting. So yeah, I guess is my main final question on this one is where are we going to draft Devin Booker next year? And I'm not really worried. And you mentioned this maybe a little bit ago, right? I'm not really worried what the market's going to do, right? Like I'm not going to say I'm going to have this guy on all my teams because I don't know what the market's going to look like. I'm really at this point just looking like where am I placing this player in my rankings, kind of going forward.
Yeah, I'm probably. I mean, this is a tough question actually because quite a few players have moved their way into that second tier, or at least like you can make an argument that they are second tier type players. One of those players we're going to talk about next. I'm probably taking this guy in the early 3rd round.
So like, and we're talking 12
into the
team
second
league.
Round.
So we're talking like 25, 26, somewhere in there, like 20.
Yeah, probably around
mid 20s.
Yeah, right after Walt Lemon Jr.
Fair, the knocks of him like getting hurt. I hear those sometimes, and I mean he did get hurt last year, right? He only played 54 games, but I mean if his numbers at the end of this look like 76, 78, 54. 68, I'm feeling pretty good about his health. Only going to be 23. And, that he's definitely kind of in that late second round conversation for me. And a lot of that will depend on, who switches to teams and where some of these guys are playing, going forward. But, yeah, I definitely think I'm going to be very high on Booker next year. And I'm definitely going to be looking at him in that, kind of mid to late second round range. That's maybe not where I take him, right? He might be more in my 3rd round by the time next season rolls around, but yeah, I'm definitely going to be very interested in that guy.
And I think when you look at head-to-head leagues or even roto leagues, like I'm starting to have the philosophy of like don't even worry about turnovers in a roto league because you need a guy who's bad at turnovers to be good at the rest of your roto league. Which almost makes it like, why are we using turnovers in roto league? I'm starting to back off my 9-cat, I guess, fundamentalism.
Oh, I will say that I hate turnovers in a roto league. In a head-to-head league, like I can get on board with it, like I'm okay with it. But in a roto league, it just bothers me because literally that would mean if I got every one of the best players, like if I drafted with 11 complete, you know what I mean? They never played before, and they just picked players they've heard of. And I literally had the absolute best roster. I would probably finish dead last in turnovers.
Yeah,
right.
Probably.
I could win the other 8 categories and finish last in turnovers. Like fundamentally, that's not the way it should be, especially in roto leagues. You know what I mean? Where those like it's fine to lose a category every week, but to be dead last in that category from the season can really drag you down in the standings. Especially in a deeper league with a lot of teams. So
that forces you to be like even better in other things. And if you're like the best team, but you can't get your turnovers together, like, you know, it hurts. And so like I'm going to be contemplating that over the off season. But yeah, I kind of forgot the point I was trying to make about Devin Booker. But other than his turnovers, like I think this is a guy in a head-to-head league. There it is. I found it. That you could build a certain type of player around. So like he might be a little bit more valuable in a head-to-head league, simply because of the scoring and the kind of interesting if the assists stick, which I actually think they're going to. And I guess unless they get the second pick in the draft, then John Mormon might have something to say about that. Yeah,
but I mean, in that situation, like I think, you know, they stagger the minutes a little bit. Plus, for just talking next year, like, you know, Morin will do something similar to Trae Young, right? Like he'll be slow out of the gate. Plus, you know, he's a very frail body guy, so you know the team might want to slow him down and try to put him on more of a strength regimen to start the season to get him a little bit thicker, a little bigger.
That would consider the team that we're talking about is not the Phoenix Suns, who have no idea what they're doing. So that's a little far-fetched, in my opinion.
True, but I mean, I guess what I'm saying is for next year, I feel pretty good about the assists regardless of who they pick, because unless they get Zion, and even if they get Zion, right, like Zion's not a ball-dominant guy.
Yeah, true.
So I feel pretty good about whoever they pick, like his assists still being up in the like 5.5, 6 range, regardless of who, unless they're going to get a point guard who's just going to dominate the ball, or they're going to make some trade for like, you know, maybe they somehow sign Kemba Walker, like something crazy happens. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really see those assists being anything to worry about.
Yeah. They're still going to run that team through Devin Booker. I promise you that. Let's go on to the next guy here, who is currently ranked 6th in post All-Star rankings, 8-cat, no turnovers. His name's Bradley Beal. And Bradley Beal has put the Washington Wizards on his back for the better part of this season. Once John Wall went down, it was the best thing to happen to Bradley Beal's fantasy value. And he's kind of done has a similar stat line that Devin Booker had. And we finally saw a nice leap in assists. His rebounds are up as well. And like, I think he's been carrying the team too long. So like, I think the last, couple weeks, those stats are going to look not as good. He's been carrying the team too long, and that team's going nowhere. So like, I'm not worried about these last 2 stats. I actually think I'm going to go ahead and just say like Bradley Beal is going to be 26 next year. This is definitely for real. Like, John Wall being out is the best thing that happened to his fantasy value. He's got the steals that Devin Booker does not have, and that I like a lot.
So you want to play my game I played with Devin Booker for Bradley Beal?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do you want to guess where he is?
I would take him ahead of where he is right now.
Yeah. 8 category for the whole season per game, no turnovers. Where do you think he's ranked for the entire season?
Okay, so
and John Wall played some this year, right? Like John Wall's not going to play at all next year.
Devin Booker was 19. I think Bradley Beal is higher. So based on that, I'm going to say 15.
13th.
13th. Wow. Bradley Beal, hell of a season. Absolutely hell of a season. 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 5.5 assists, almost 2 steals a game. 26 points. But also almost 38 minutes a game.
Yeah, which is worrying a little bit, right? And he's a little bit older here, right? Talking about a guy who's going to be 26 in June. I'm not worried about that yet, but I do think that Washington is probably going to play him a crazy amount of minutes again next year. So if we're looking at just kind of 1 year value, I'm not too worried about that. But I mean, he played 36.3 last year, so he's up like a minute and a half. Potentially they change coaches, and I guess someone could put him down more to like 35, but he's still going to play like 35. I mean, we see that on pretty much every team. The best player plays like 35 minutes a game.
Yeah, I think he's for real. I think it's the leap that a lot of people have been waiting for as well. He's improved every single year, and that's kind of a theme when you look at these guys who improve every single year. Those are the guys you can start rely on. There's room up there in that second and third tier, and with the fact that Bradley Beal, gets actually fairly low assists. Low turnovers for someone who gets now as many assists as he does, holds the ball, gets as much usage as he does. That's a super positive if you do have turnovers in your league.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And, Bradley Beal, man, has just been really good and kind of underrated for the last 2 or 3 years too. And I think that's worth saying. I'm really high on Bradley Beal. I'm actually looking at maybe putting Bradley Beal in my first round next year, which I didn't think I'd say going
That's
into it.
But that might be a little too far. But if he stays healthy, look at his totals. He's top 10.
Well, in the last 3 years, 77, 82, 77, and he's played every game so far this year. So he's on pace to be 77, 82, 82. Now, that's not to say he's going to finish it out. You know what I mean? But
that worries me.
He's played in every game the Wizards have played. Right now, I would say he's just on the outside of my first round, but he's definitely going to be a consideration for that spot for me.
He's 100% in that second tier now, and I'm surprised that he made that type of leap this year. Not that he didn't have it in him, because he was hanging out in that third tier, but the jump from third tier to second tier is huge. Shout out to Bradley Beal for doing it this year. I think he's for real. And I would also like to point out he's getting over half a block a game, and that's really, really nice. He's averaged last year almost half a block a game. Now he's a little bit over than that. You think that stays, Tyler?
The blocks themselves?
Yeah, about a half a block a game.
Yeah, but I think it's more like a half, not 0.7, which it is this year.
Yeah, it could drop a little bit, but that's okay. Half a block from your guard is really, really nice. Let's keep moving to the next man on this list, Nikola Vujovic. I can't believe he's the 11th ranked player post All-Star break. That's very impressive.
Again, this is another guy who it really hasn't been. This one hasn't been a fluke either. Really, you want to guess his per game season total?
I'm gonna say he's got to be in top 20, so I'll just go like 18,
15th.
There you go.
Ahead of LeBron, ahead of Russell Westbrook, ahead of Drew Holiday, ahead of Chris Paul, ahead of Jimmy Butler.
Now this is somebody you were on early in the season. I agreed with you, but there was a worry about how Orlando was going to use him, if they were going to use him much as they did in the past. He was down below 30 minutes last year.
Well, and if you remember, that was my thing that I was calling bullcrap on. Was like, this is their best player. Like, Mo Bamba is what he is, and I said this, I think, from the beginning of the season. Like, he's not really NBA ready. Like, he just wasn't. He wasn't ready to take on a big role, and then he got hurt a little bit, and that obviously affected it too. The biggest worry for me going into the year was minutes, right? He played 28.5 or 28.8 and then 29.5 the last 2 years. So they had clearly been backing off him. Now he's a free agent this summer, so maybe they just said screw it and let him play. But, I mean, Vucevic has always been good when he gets playing time. He took a leap to over 20 points a game this year, which I don't know that anyone really saw that coming. He also took the leap to getting 12 rebounds a game. But when you look at his per 36 numbers, like, the rebounds went up to 13.7, but he had a year where he was 13 and another year where he was 12.9. So like it wasn't that crazy. The thing that took probably the biggest leap, and they've actually been going up the last 4 years, has been the assists. He continues to improve in the assist category, which is good, right? Like we always talk about, get a center who can get you, 3, 4, 5 assists is a big advantage. This one, I don't know what to say about for next year because we have no idea where he's going to play.
Well, I think that's the key right here. He played 31 minutes, 32 minutes a game this year. But even in 29 minutes, like you say this quite a bit, Tyler, even in 29 minutes, he was, per game last year, he's like a top 30 player. So I don't see him going anywhere where he is not going to play 29 minutes a game. It would seem like a crime to put someone with this type of talent, someone who's averaging 20 and 12, to come off your bench like that. Someone's going to pay him money. It might be Orlando even, knowing that franchise. And if he's going to play 31 plus minutes a game, these numbers are going to go, slightly up. He's a great percentage guy for both free throw and field goals. He's a block, steal, and now a 3 guy. He was a 3 guy last year. So I think this is, I think this is for real. I think I would ride him next year too. He is 28. Like I'm surprised he's only 28.
Oh yeah, no. If he's back on Orlando or in a spot where he's going to be, I won't even say that we need him to be featured, but he's got to be on a team where, he's going to get 15, 16 shot attempts a game. And, if he goes to the Warriors or something crazy, you know what I mean? Like that could obviously hurt his value. I definitely don't think I'm going for him in the second round though. I'd go for him in the third round probably.
Really? I think,
I love
look into him depending on where he lands. I think I would look into him in the second round. I actually think mid to late second round is not a bad place to pick him up.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously the numbers are telling you that's good. And I made the stat at the beginning of the year about how like he had finished in the top 35 every season, but last season. And as far as total values, which was crazy, right? So Vooch is really good.
Yeah, he's great. I think it's kind of telling. We think all these guys are for real, but like there's with Booker, Beal, and Vujovic, if there's situations say similar, I don't know how they don't produce what they're doing on the full season averages. Is top 5, top 10 in Bradley Beal and Devin Booker's future? No, I don't think so. Booker, like you're saying, Booker could be someone who even takes a secondary leap. He's only 22 years old. I think we know who Vooch is, but I think what Vooch is doing is pretty for real. I think, he could be easily show up in the top 20 once again next year.
Yeah, for sure. The thing that's going to hold Booker back too and leaping into that first round is, like you mentioned, he just can't. He doesn't get the blocks and steals. Yeah, and I don't think he ever will.
Yeah, that's going to hold him back. Bradley Beal's someone who could actually carry that. So, like, if Bradley Beal ends up putting some more assists and rebounds in his game, he could be someone who sneaks into that first round. So, like, these guys do still have a little bit of potential, but just to get to the second tier is incredible. And all 3 of these guys got to the second tier, and all 3 of them, I think, are probably going to be staying there, for a little while. Like, Jimmy Butler was a second-tier player for quite a while. He's dropped into the kind of the third tier at this point, but that's because he had a situation change. So we'll see with these guys. But all 3 of them, I think, are for real.
For sure about that.
Yeah, I don't know if we could have everybody be for real on this, Tyler. And this next guy, I'm not going to say he's for real, even though I really respect this guy's game. I think you gotta mention him and be one of the better point guards in the league. Mike Conley should just get like a lifetime achievement award for being Mike Conley. Like he's great. He's actually always gotten better. And I am shocked when Tyler, you told me he's currently the 18th ranked player post All-Star break. I know he's been playing well, but I didn't know he was playing that well.
Yeah, he got really hot for a stretch there, and Mike Conley had a really good season too. Like, I mean, when we look at that total season value, he's ranked 28th. So
Yeah,
it's not like he's any buster as far as the full season goes. I'm a big fan of Mike Conley's game, but he's going to be 32 next year. And that's the age, especially for point guards, where I start to get pretty worried. His drafted price is going to matter a lot for me here. I'm looking at Mike Conley more in that kind of like, third, fourth round range in a 12-team league. And I could see him kind of going in that second, early third round when I'm probably not there. I'm probably more in that back end of the third round for me.
Yeah, I think late third into the fourth. But it's a safe late third into the fourth. I think now, granted, he's had injuries, and granted, we don't know what that Memphis team is going to look like. But
I'll say this to that point. I think I'm more worried about the injuries than the production. Like, I think if he's healthy, I think you're going to get good stats from Mike Conley. I'm just worried that
he's like the best. He's the best player on that team now,
right? And you know what I mean. And they're going to have another top pick to add to it, and probably. I mean, they could lose their pick to the Celtics, right? It's like top 8 protected.
Yeah. So they might not have anybody coming on the team, and then it's the Mike Conley show, and that's positive if you're a fantasy player. So I like the idea of not a lot of people getting on the Mike Conley train next year, and a lot of people who've kind of overlooked him and they kind of forgotten about him, and being able to pick him up in a late third, early fourth situation as a super quality point guard who gets you 6 assists, over a steal a game, and 21 points, which is, actually without, Marc Gasol, he's probably going to get you more points than that next year than his full season average this year.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
So Mike Conley, I don't think he's for real, but I do think he's a good guy to keep an eye on in that late round. I don't think he's going to be a top, 20 player next year, but hey, man, he's pretty close this year. So I don't think it's a huge drop off, but there's a higher potential for that drop off next year. Let's talk about this next guy. I'm surprised he's on this list. Trae Young, 20th post All-Star break. Now Trae Young's been lighting it up, but I didn't know he's been playing this well. Are we looking at another Donovan Mitchell situation going into next year?
As far as what is that? Well, what are we?
Well, the Donovan Mitchell situation would be a guy who played incredibly well as a rookie, who then gets overhyped into being picked at like the end of the first round, early second round, and I don't think he'll fall off as much as Donovan Mitchell has fallen off, because I think they're still going to run that team through Trae Young, but depending on who they draft, obviously. But are we getting too hyped on Trae Young? I think the hype's going to be obviously very large next year, but is this late season performance by Trae Young just a little too good to be true?
Yeah. Especially for fantasy, right? Like, he does a lot of good things, but this is a guy you're always going to want, just like Donovan Mitchell in a lot of respects. I think it's a guy you're always going to want more in a roto league or more in a head-to-head league than a roto league, because I don't think he's ever going to shoot that good from the field. I mean, I just think he's more of a chucker. He's shooting 41.8% this year. The thing he's going to give you is he's going to rebound the ball really well for a point guard. He's going to give you like 20 points and like 8 to 9 assists, which are great, right? But there's not a lot of defensive stats here. So if you're telling me he's going in the first round, I'm out. And it's the same thing I said with Devin Booker, right? Like, you can't get 0.8 steals and 0.2 blocks and expect to, be in the first round range. And, some people will say he's only playing 30.8 minutes a game for the season with those 0.8 steals and 0.2 blocks. Like, if he plays 35 next year, okay, well then that's different. That's probably like, pretty close to a steal, but that's still probably not pushing him into that first round range.
No, I'm not even looking at him close to any of that time. Like, I'm looking at him as like maybe an early fourth round type of a draft pick. You got
I'll say this, if you need assists really bad, he's going to be one of the best assist guys.
Yeah, that's great. And like over the last like month or so, it's like almost 5 rebounds and 10 assists. That's and scoring 23 points a game. That's incredible.
Yeah, but I think that's more of a blip than anything. Like I think the assists are going to settle in there at like 9. You know, eight to 9, and which is great, right? That's still like one of the top producers in the league. Yeah, so I actually like Trae Young for next year, but I think everyone else is going to like him more.
Yeah, I think you're not going to be able to get a deal.
I think he's going to be like being picked in the second round.
Oh, 100%.
And I'm out on that for sure. So
no, I mean, we said this last year with Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell played 33 minutes a game. I'm going to do a real quick comparison. For the season, Trae's only playing 31. So, like, there's room to bump up there. But let's just look at what he's done in the last couple months. He's playing 33 minutes a game. Donovan Mitchell was playing 33. Donovan Mitchell was 20. 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal and a half. That's really nice. Trae here in the last couple months, 23, 4.5 rebounds, 9 assists. There's your big difference. Only a little under a steal a game. So like he's got a little bit more of a fantasy friendly game. But like where we said this with Donovan Mitchell, where does he make an improvement? Where is it possible for Trae Young to make an improvement going into next year? The elusive field goal percentage?
Yeah, that, or he's, you know, they all say about his, you know, amazing 3-point shot. He's only shooting 33.3% for the year.
Yeah.
So potentially that's an area where he could.
Yeah. Okay. That's pretty good. So if he gets a little bit better at 3, he's making a little bit more. He's getting more points.
And even if he takes it up,
gets up a little bit, and maybe his steal gets up to 1. Like, okay.
Yeah, and then, you know, you're looking at a little bit more upside. But, you know, even still, if we say, you know, he's the 60th player for the season on those numbers. So if you look at it at like 20 points a game with 9 rebounds and 4 assists and 2.5 3-pointers on better percentages, like you're still only looking at like a top 30, top 25, maybe barely, depending on how far the points go up. Like if the points go up to like 21, 22, 23, then obviously he's pushing that top 20.
Yeah. I think that's actually a little too far. I think his ceiling is somewhere around that late 20s, mid late 20s. And that's if everything goes right. So like I would be looking at him in the early to mid, probably the early 4th, because he's got the upside. I don't think he's not going to fall that far.
Yeah, me neither. And it'll be interesting to see how crazy people. That's what I'm looking forward to. That more than trying to draft him on my team. I'm just looking forward to seeing how crazy people get on him.
He's going to be a great guy to throw out there in your auction league drafts. He's going to early in the draft. Just get him out there, get that money off the board.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way about that.
All right, this next one is the most surprising. I don't know if I believe you. I don't know if I believe it. You need to go check your numbers.
You can check them for yourself. I check them on Basketball Monsters. So
I trust you as a stat checker, not as a GM, Tyler. DeMarcus Cousins, 23rd since the All-Star break.
Dude,
and playing like 25 minutes a game.
Here's the craziest part. I'll tell you, he played 25.4 minutes a game for the season. 26 games. Now, I'm looking at per game rankings. Obviously, if it was total value, 26 games would have him like in the 300 range because that's not enough games, right? Guess where he's ranked in 25.4 minutes a game?
Per game?
Per game.
55.
33rd.
Wow.
And we've talked about this.
How is he valuable? That's incredible.
We've talked about him, you know, for years now, right? Ever since we started doing this, about how he's a special player and he's a really great player in head-to-head leagues. And, you know, he just does so much, right? Like he's averaging 1.3 steals. He's averaging 1.5 blocks. He's averaging 8 rebounds. He's averaging 3.6 assists. He's averaging 16 points. He's averaging 0.7 threes. His percentages are pretty darn good. He's 47.7. You know what I mean? Like he's just doing a little bit of everything.
He really is truly a unicorn, a guy who could hit 2 threes, get you 13 rebounds, and 1.5 steals, 1.5 blocks. He's truly a unicorn.
And here's what's crazy, man. He's 28. He's going to turn 29 in August, and he's going to be on another team next year, probably playing a larger role.
the Chicago
not
Bulls.
not only more minutes, but you know what I mean, more shots, more everything. Yeah. So is he back in the kind of first round territory?
So yeah, this is to me the toughest one. I don't even know. I don't even know what to make of it. Man, where do you draft a Marcus Cousins? I think we might actually have to do like an hour on just that particular topic because if you look at his per 36, he's going to be as good as he was last year. My question is does he start once he gets on to back to a team that he is the best player on, or the second best player on? I guess if he goes to like the Knicks or something like that, with Kyrie, that'd be interesting. Is he going to start shooting threes again? Because if he's going to start shooting threes again, I would say yes, he's a late first round draft pick. But if he's not going to start shooting threes, I can't go all the way.
Yeah, okay, I hear that. But in a head-to-head league, punting around that guy is still going to be a phenomenal stat line regardless.
Certainly.
I mean, like if you're, and there's upside to actually have it too, which is always a good thing if you're punting, right? To be like, I'm shoring up these categories and I'm punting threes kind of, and then maybe Cousins comes out and gets you 2 threes a game. That would obviously be a big help. So, yeah, man, I don't know what to do with Cousins because I'm kind of a little bit on the fence and putting him in my first round. I'll probably have him in that, early to mid second round range for next year. I think depending on where he goes to, right? Like if he's back on the Warriors and they bring back Clay and everybody, like,
yeah, then I'm out. But
right, and then it's the different discussion. But like if he's going to be like this, even like the second or third option on a team, man, it's going to be hard for me to pass him. Like if I'm sitting there at like pick 20 and he's still on the board, I'm going to have a hard time going with somebody else.
If you're going to tell me he's going to play 33 minutes a game and he's going to shoot, and he's going to make more than 1.5 threes next year, I don't know how you take him past like the 12th or 13th pick. He's just that good. That season that he was basically dominating with Anthony Davis, he was one of the best damn players, fantasy players in the league. This is a really, really tough one. And this might be one of those, shoot for the moon type of picks where you didn't get a first pick. You're in a kind of a bigger league, 12, 14 teams. You didn't get one of those top picks. So you're going to miss out on the high end guys. Well, the further DeMarcus Cousins slips into the late first round, the more appealing he becomes when you're able to like match him up with someone like Joel Embiid or something like that. So you got these two giant, enormous, huge unicorns running around. That becomes interesting to me. So I actually think he's like out of circumstance. You got to take a shot when you're taking when you start out with a late first round pick. You got to take a shot. He's a good shot to take.
Yeah, so okay, I'll give you a couple names, a couple guys I've been chewing the fat on. When looking at my rankings. So you can have Kawhi Leonard or you can have DeMarcus Cousins.
Why?
Jokic.
Jokic.
Damian Lillard.
That's not fair. Probably Dame.
Joel Embiid.
Ooh, I might go Cousins. If the things that I said could be guaranteed, 33 minutes, 1.5 threes.
Paul George.
No, I don't think I could go over Paul George.
LeBron.
Yeah, over LeBron.
Russell Westbrook.
Definitely Cousins.
So then you got Cousins like right around 12.
There you go. That's where I got him. I'm all right. I'm all right with that. That's kind of what I said.
Bradley Beal or Cousins? That one's going to be a tough one for me, I think.
That's pretty impossible. I think there's too many questions. So, like, I got him at 12 in my mind. When it comes to draft time, I feel like he might start slipping a little bit simply because of the question marks around him. Unless, he's like he's on a team and he's going to play like 35 minutes and he's already looking good in the preseason, and then he's going to skyrocket right back up my rankings. I'm a sucker for DeMarcus Cousins, and I probably will be next year.
Yeah, I mean, Cousins is she just does so much. It's just I love watching him.
Yeah, he's great. And so who knows, but probably a late first, early second round player or not. Who knows?
or not. You never know. Whoever knows.
We can't give a good synopsis on that one. Let's go to these next few players that we got on the list.
Last four, all surprises, I would say.
Yeah, Danilo Gallinari. Shout out to him. I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised because he's been healthy. Danilo Gallinari, 28th post All-Star. I think 28 is a little high. Obviously, I don't think that's real, but a not hurt Danilo was always good.
For the season, 36th.
Yeah, that sounds like correct to me because I remember how good Danilo Gallinari is when he was actually not injured.
So sign me up for being on team definitely not drafting this guy next year.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be a top 50 pick, and he should be until you look at it this way. So starting in the 2013-2014 season when this guy was 25 years old, he did not play with a torn ACL. Then you got 59, 53, 63, 21, and then this year 64 games. So even if you say 70, that'll be and if you go back even further, right? So looking all the way back since his rookie year, he's played over 70 games. His rookie year was 2008, 2009. You want to guess how many times he's played more than 70 games?
Once.
Twice. He played 81 in his sophomore season with the Knicks. And in
Incredible.
2012, 2013 with the Nuggets, he played 71. So this could be the third year since 2009 that he played over 70 games.
Yeah. In those years that he played a lot of games, really good. He was he had to expand all the fantasy stats that you wanted. It was just like out of nowhere. He's got, decent steals, but he was getting good rebounds, great percentages, good threes, good points. Keep me away from him. Yeah. I don't think he's for real in the sense that he's that high. So I wouldn't probably take him until like end of the fourth round?
Oh, no, not even that for me, I don't think. Because this is my point. Because it's one of those, divergent paths, right? Like, if you get this guy and he plays 70 games, it's going to be a home run. But if he plays 21 or 53 or 43 like he has played, right, then you're basically wasting that pick, especially if it's inside the top 50. So once it gets past 50, I'll start looking at him because at that point, we talk about it all the time, right? Like everyone's value is so tight and it doesn't take much to like drop out to be like the 100th player. But I mean, he's going to be 31 years old too in August. So, I mean, I think that's worth mentioning. Like, and it's a guy who has a bad health history for years, right? He's played 10 years in the league and he's played 2 over 70 games. Like, man, I don't know. Even at 50, I'll probably find somebody I like more, and then eventually somebody will take him, and I'll be out. If he fell to like pick 60 or 70, man, at some point you have to take the guy, right? I'm not exactly sure where that number is for me yet, but
yeah, like you're saying, that first plateau of players, he's the one with the best. He's in the group with the best upside in that first plateau of players. So like once you're in that 50 plus range, you gotta like probably look at him somewhere between 50 and 55.
Okay, and like this is a bad example because who knows if he's even gonna go there. But like, are you gonna bet on the upside of someone like Zion, or are you gonna bet on Danilo? Right? Like,
I fall into the trap that all fantasy basketball owners. I would rather have a young, exciting talent than old Danilo Gallinari.
But see, here's why I think even throwing that part of it out, right? Here's why I'd rather have the young guy who hasn't done it. I'd rather bet on the potential of somebody like that I've earmarked and go, I've seen you play basketball, you're really, really good, than to try to bet on Danilo's going to be healthy again. Because I've seen it. I have a 20% track record that Danilo's not going to be healthy, right? He's played 10 years in the league. He's played 2 over 70 games. There's 20% chance he's going to play 70 games. That's not a good percentage.
The injury flag is real here, and it's a bad sign. And I still think you got to look at him after 50, give a hard look. But if your injury gut tells you no, then don't take him. There's at some point once you get past 50 that I think he's impossible not to take. I don't know what that point is, depending on who's on the board, right? But he's not what he's doing right now. It's hard to say it's not real because it is real. When he's healthy, he is this good. It's not real as in likelihood he'll do it next year.
Yeah. And they actually are smart. They've only played him 30.4 minutes this year, and he's shooting the best he's ever shot. So, I mean, I don't know. There's just a lot there that also kind of makes me think it's not going to be quite as good, even if he is healthy.
Yeah, poor Danielle. He could have had a nice career, I think. And those injuries really shitted all over him, and that's too bad. You don't want to see injuries around anybody's career. That's depressing. Let's go on to the next guy, though, Tyler. That's enough waxing on about Danilo Gallinari, the fantasy basketball player that was. Hey, he got his shine this year. We're going to talk instead about what finally happened. This is another finally the fantasy people were right. Jonas Valanciunas in Memphis has finally been playing over 30 minutes a game, and he was valuable and he was fantasy league relevant when he was playing 22 minutes a game. So now that he's playing 32, 33 minutes a game, he's 23 and 13 with a couple assists, very good percentages, and approaching 2 blocks. Those are really those are fun, all fun, good big men stats, and he gets the occasional 3. I'm not surprised actually that he's 30th post All-Star, because that's how good he is when he's playing those minutes.
Yeah, and I mean this one really comes down to what role, and even if he's on Memphis, let's say, and they draft someone who's not a big man. Doesn't matter who. Just say strap the shooting guard. Doesn't matter which one. They don't really sign anyone that should take a ton of minutes away from him. Maybe they sign some backup center, Costa Kufis. I don't know. Just throwing a name out there. Are you really going to feel good about him playing 30 minutes? I can tell you in his time in Memphis, he's only playing 28.1 minutes a game. Still.
Joakim Noah plays a decent amount on this team.
But Jaren Jackson Jr. is not playing.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't feel confident at all. I think he is standard league relevant. So I'm going to go with a not real, because he won't get the minutes. This is what he's doing is real. He is this good in these types of minutes. He's he's a poor man's Vujovic. But
I don't think that it's 20 points a game either, unless he's playing 32 minutes. That number spiked up a little bit even per 36.
Sure. I don't disagree. But he's not going to get this minutes, and that's why this run is not real. You can't bank on this next year.
Yeah, but I still think he might be a steal next year. And here's why. Some people are out on him because they oh, he's never going to get the minutes. He's never going to get the minutes. And people miss the boat that even in 25 or 26 minutes, he's pretty valuable. So if you're going to tell me he's going to get that amount, or even 27 or 28, I might still be in on him. He might literally go, because he's 66th ranked for the season, right? I could literally see him fall into pick 75. And at that point, he's probably pretty good value.
Yeah, and I'd actually look for him in the 6th round. I'd take a nice hard look at him because of what he can do. It depends on who's on the board.
So even in that late 5th, right? At pick 60, if you're the last pick in a 5th round, a 12-team league, and you need rebounds and blocks, I wouldn't have any problem picking Valanciunas.
Me neither. These next 2 guys, I think, are the most interesting guys we could talk about. Of course, we save them for last. So if you're still listening, shout out to you. It's a long one, but Kelly Oubre Jr. has been having himself a year, and he is on my radar with his play in Phoenix. He is currently 37th overall per game, 8-cat post All-Star break, followed by Pascal Siakam at 38. Let's talk about Kelly Oubre first. This is a guy I've had my eye on since the Wizards, which was just earlier this season, so I guess it wasn't that long ago. But he seemed like a Otto Porter-esque type of player, which we all know, when Otto Porter slips a little bit, he's kind of not in that top 30 range. He's actually in more of a top 60 player. But Kelly Oubre, over the last couple months, we're looking at 20 points, plus 5 rebounds, and close to 2 steals a game. His assists are not great. His threes are under 2, so a couple red flags there. I'm going to go with not real, but also not. He's not going to be. He's worth looking at as one of the better first plateau guys. So like once you get to like 55 plus, I'm actually looking at Kelly Oubre due to his youth, his ability to break out. The problem is that lineup in Phoenix.
He's a restricted free agent, correct?
I think so. So he might leave.
Yeah, and here's the other thing too. Like at some point, the Suns have to sort out that wing rotation, right? Like they have like how many guys? I mean, they got Mikal Bridges, they got Tyler Johnson, they got T.J. Warren, they got Kelly Oubre. You know, they got maybe Devin Booker's the point guard now, but I mean, you might throw even Devin Booker in there, right? If they actually get a point guard like John Morant. So at some point, they got to sort it out, and they got to, you know, pick a couple guys that they're going to play. You like Oubre blocking a shot a game too for us, a shooting guard, small forward type, someone out there on the wing. Yeah, Kelly Oubre's stat line, very interesting. We talked about that even when he played for the Wizards, right? Like if this guy could just get a few more minutes, he'd be really, really interesting for fantasy. I'm going to be very scared to draft him next year if the Suns lineup, especially on the wings, looks like it does now. Because I'm just going to be worried he's the guy getting 25 minutes. And we've seen in 25 minutes that he's kind of more of a last guy on your roster or on the waiver wire guy than he is, you know what I mean, top 50, top 60 player.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one. I think just like you just don't know what that rotation is going to look like. You know, the Suns are kind of stupid. But if you're going to tell me he's going to be put in a position where he is going to play like 32, 34 minutes a night, I like him.
No, if that's the case, right, then we're talking a whole different story. I guess my point is I don't know that there's any way you're going to be able to guarantee that, and maybe that makes him a good upside shot. But like if you're trying to win a big league and you don't really care if you finish last or first, he might be a great upside shot because if he does get those big minutes, right, like you're going to feel good about that. But I mean, he's 93rd for the season playing 20 minutes.
Yeah, he's someone who, and that's why we said earlier in this podcast, now is the best time to go do your rankings and look into next season because these things are fresh in your mind. You're going to go look. First off, you're going to go out to ESPN, and ESPN's going to have him ranked 250th because they have no idea what they're doing. Shout out to ESPN. If they'd like to give me a job, that'd be cool.
Dude, it'll be that or the exact opposite. He'll be like 25th, and you'll be going like, wait, what?
Yeah, you can. Well, actually, that's a good point. It's either 25th or 250th. I don't know, but it's going to be something absurd. But I think you're going to see a lot of lower ranks for him, and you're going to look at what he did last year. You're going to go like, 90, that's not very, very good. Never mind. But when you look at what he did post All-Star break, he was a top 50 player. And if he's going to get this type of usage, he will be a top 50 player next year. So if he's slipping into the 7th round, 6th round, 7th round, 8th round, like I think he's a must pick at that point. He's got the upside that you were looking for in those late round picks.
Oh yeah, definitely. I just worry about him, especially if the Suns purge that roster a little bit, him becoming kind of a trendy sleeper because he's 24 and
that's true.
He played good post All-Star break, and at that point, I mean, you know how we always feel about the trendy sleepers, like they always end up going too high in most leagues because everyone's reading ESPN's sleeper list. And
well, you heard it here first. He is the trendy sleeper for next year. I'm probably gonna still ride with Kelly Oubre because I feel like I have a good eye for some of these guys, Tyler. That's why I'm in the business.
I got a good eye for you, baby.
I got a good eye for Kelly Oubre's. Last guy on the list, Pascal Siakam. This is a little bit of a different story. It's almost the opposite of the Kelly Oubre story because everyone is going to know who Pascal Siakam is. In fantasy, they definitely know who he is because he was like the waiver wire pick of the year, which in our awards show, we're probably going to have to give it to him right off the back. But he's also a guy who I think is going to become someone the general public knows once the playoffs start.
Fair assessment, I think.
And he's had a great year. Like he's been playing 32 minutes a game. He does everything really well. He doesn't do anything great. He does everything very well, which adds up. He's like a better Otto Porter.
Yeah, and I think maybe he's a little more valuable in proto leagues than in in head-to-head because
Certainly.
if you're punting, like there's nothing to punt when you have a Pascal Siakam because like he's just kind of good at everything, right? And so you like that. Plus the percentages are good, especially for a big man. He's 45th for the season per game, eliminating turnovers. So I guess my question here is there room for him to get better? Number one.
Yeah, that's I was going to ask you that question. Where does he get better?
So he's 25. He actually turns 25 on April 2nd. So happy early birthday to Pascal Siakam.
Wow. Shout out to Pascal.
I guess it matters what this team looks like too, a little bit, right? Like if they get rid of Kawhi, or you know what I mean, if he moves on, how do they fill that void?
Yeah, I almost like him worse if Kawhi is not on the team.
Does he play more than 32 minutes?
Probably not. So the minutes probably don't go up. Maybe he gets a little bit better at threes.
Yeah, but that's gonna knock down the field goal percentage. Like him shooting more.
But his field goal percentage is great, right? So yeah.
Yeah, but like if you shoot a lot of threes, it's hard to shoot over 50%. So you know what I mean? Like if he's gonna get up to like 1.5 or 2 3-pointers made a game, that could drop that field goal percentage below 50, which that's a big trade-off there. Yeah, I like him that he's a big man that does steals, and the blocks are not great for a power forward, but there's some blocks, and then he gives you 3 assists. This is a guy I'm probably going to pick a lot because I feel like punting blocks may be the strategy to go with next year. There's just not many guys getting a ton of blocks, so maybe you just forget about blocks, and maybe you can still make a team that's halfway decent in them by just concentrating on rebounds and other categories. And
what round are you going to be looking for him in?
Crazy or not, he's probably a top 50 player for me.
No, yeah, I don't think that's crazy. I think he has a good chance as someone who's improved. Took a nice little step here. He could improve maybe a little bit. He could be a top 50 player. He's a top 50 player this year. There's no reason why he couldn't, match that next year. This is what I'm worried about here. You look at Pascal Siakam, you punt field goal percentage, and he's suddenly the 64th ranked player in an 8-cat league. So without field goal percentage. So his assists need to get better. He needs to maybe hit a little bit more 3-pointers. And I think those are certainly things he could do.
Yeah, and then here's the other thing, right? If Kawhi leaves, does he become a larger part of that offense as far as scoring the ball? Could he average 18.5 or 19 points a game? Like, it's definitely reasonable for a guy who's 25 years old to take a leap there. So that'll be interesting too. And it'll a lot depend on the situation, but I think right now he's kind of in that back end of my top 50, like in the 40 to 50 range, which is basically where he is this year. Think about how much money I could have won off you, Mike, if I would have bet you that Donovan Mitchell finished behind Pascal Siakam.
I think you could have made a lot of money off legitimately anybody. So that would have been. I mean, no one saw this coming.
Yeah. So
I think we might have. I don't know if we were on him at all. To be honest, I don't remember.
I was not, but I will say that I think this is real. I'm a fan. I think it's real.
I think it's real too, but I think I'm worried that he's going to get a lot of hype. He's going to maybe have a good playoff series, get a lot of hype going into next year. And I'm looking at him in the 5th round. And even then there's some upside guys that I might take him also, like maybe even late 5th round, because even though he could make some adjustments up, I don't know how he gets I don't know how he becomes like a third tier
I will say that.
I don't think he can ever be a 3rd-tier player.
I think he's a top 50 player, but I might not draft him in the top 50. That's a fair assessment to make because, like you're saying, this is not a guy with a ton of upside.
Yeah, his ceiling is lower than quite a few people. Outside of the top 50.
Right, I'm with you there. But as a safe guy, I feel like he's pretty safe in that 40 to 50 range.
Yeah, I think that's a solid bet. He's like I said, like for many years, Otto Porter was a great roto guy, and Pascal Siakam, great roto guy.
He's like the plain whatever, like something just plain Jane. Like he's just gonna be what he is, I think. And he's not flashy. He's not pretty. He's just gonna be Pascal. He is what he is, man.
It's a great name, Pascal Siakam. It's he's got one of the better names in the NBA, and that ends it for the best segment of the year, real or not real. And that's it for the podcast as well, Tyler. Tyler, do you have anything you want to plug?
Man, do I have anything I want to plug? That's a good question. Well, I'm sure people read my mock draft. That was fun. It's fun to write. But you can still check it out, right? At the Smoking Cuban. You can just Google that, Smoking Cuban mock draft. You'll find it. This month is a fun month for my writing because I will be writing a ton about what happened this season and what will happen going forward. So I'm looking forward to that. As far as a particular piece to plug, not at this moment.
All right. Well, you can follow Tyler at Tyler P. Watts on Twitter. You can follow me at Watch the Boxes. If you've enjoyed this podcast this season, we've enjoyed you listening. We really appreciate that. If you want to help out, rate and review us, leave us feedback on Twitter, or check out patreon.com/watchingtheboxes. Subscribe, become a subscriber, get some of the extra benefits of being a subscriber, early podcasts, access to the listener leagues. But most importantly, you get to help out the pod, and we can start bringing better things, like maybe looking into putting real drops on our segments instead of me just yelling. So that is something that might be a listener goal for next year, is that we'll invest in some actual drops instead of just me talking and yelling lots of noise to scare people when they're trying to listen to this podcast while they're going to sleep. I don't know if people would listen to this going to sleep. That's a weird time to listen to this podcast.
Your dulcet tones puts everyone to sleep, Mike.
Yeah, my constant yelling probably puts you right out. That's it for tonight. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We appreciate you. Have a good one. Enjoy the rest of the NCAA season and the rest of the NBA basketball season. Good night.